incredible, like incredible planning.
Oh yeah.
And so, can I ask a question, Don?
Yeah.
What went through your mind when you said, "No, I'm not speaking to them," CBS, and you just went to watch the TV?
Yeah, I didn't want to talk to anybody about what was going on. I wanted to absorb it. I wanted to just take everything in about that
Mm,
night and about that event, because I know the first questions they were going to ask me is like, oh, how do you feel? And this and that, you know what? And I didn't know exactly how I felt until I sat down and started watching it, and I had a lot of emotions that night. I got tears in my eyes because I was happy, and I got tears in my eyes because I was thinking about, you know, this is restitution. Maybe this is restitution, and maybe 2,977 other families, have some sort of restitution now that he is
mm,
gone. So
yeah.
it's different emotions that I was going through that night as well.
And you've written a book too, haven't you?
Yeah. Yep.
And I think you've got other people who added bits to the book as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
The book is called 9/11 Survivor Stories, Midwest Memories. Um, there it is right there. It is available
Right.
on Amazon in paperback and e-version on Amazon. Um, about a year ago, a good friend of mine, his name is Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Yantis. He's retired. He's a Pentagon survivor. And we've been friends for about 17 years. And he came to me about a year ago and he goes, what do you think we write a book for the 20th anniversary? He goes, we have a whole new generation of, kids coming up that weren't even born on 9/11. And I said, that's a great idea. So we have in this book, it's Midwest based. It's people that were in the Midwest and either in the World Trade Center or in the Pentagon that day. And there's about 6 stories from the World Trade Center, myself, and a couple other stories that are just amazing, unbelievable stories from, their perspective. And then there's a couple of stories from the Pentagon. And then we also have the forward by Gary Sinise. Gary Sinise has always been a good friend of, helping out the military. And once we met him back in 2005 at an event in Chicago, myself and Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Yantis. He's always been very, very generous to us as well. But he was gracious enough to write the forward for our book.
Wow, that's amazing. Having people come together and create that so that there is a legacy left in that book. And
Yeah.
look, a question I'll pop in, and Doug will, I'm sure, has got a few more before we complete. What is what's your view personally of what's going on in the world today? Like with COVID, there's so many different stories on the internet and social media about do this, don't do that. It's fake. It's government.
Yeah.
It's don't get the vaccine, get the vaccine. Like there's just so much out there. It's any wonder people have got anxiety levels shooting through the roof,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, myself personally, I had COVID. I had it about a year ago, a little over a year ago. And luckily my symptoms weren't severe. I know other people that had severe symptoms and have died from it. So after I had it about a year ago and it was, not that strong, I decided, okay, I can't go through this again. I do not want to get it again. So I did get my vaccination. I did get my 2 shots. So I wanted to protect myself. I wanted to protect my family. So my whole family, we are vaccinated as well. I have a friend who was fully vaccinated and he just got it just recently. He got COVID and he's one of those rare cases and he was very, very symptomatic.
Yeah, right. And he's okay now, yeah.
Yeah, he's okay. He's okay. He described it as, very bad flu, cough, congestion, fever, and it was like consistently for like a week.
Yeah, and it's such, I mean, it's hard because none of us really know. Like back home in Australia, there's a lot of, different views and, people not wanting to be forced to get vaccines. And, I understand where they're coming from, like I do,
Yeah.
I got vaccinated. I had concerns about it, but similar to you, I just wanted to get it to protect my people around me, my family, young kids, grandkids when I see them, and I'm flying on planes a lot of the time. So, yeah, I just did it. And, I had COVID early on too. No, it wasn't bad. It was bad enough, but it wasn't, serious, thank God. But,
Yeah,
I've
thank
had
God.
another member of my family got it. And, young person, and they were in ICU for 2 weeks, and now they didn't luckily they didn't go on the respirator, but they're going through rehabilitation now to get that person up, walking around, getting them fit again. Now, I'm not dismissing anyone else's view, but when people say it's like a cold and a flu, maybe when it's not severe, but when it goes beyond that, it's nothing like a cold and a flu. Like it's devastating. It takes people's lives out really quickly.
It is. And like you said, I have a friend who's a nurse at the University of Chicago, and she told me, she said, I know of one person that has died in the last year from the flu. She said, I've dealt with 10 people in the last 6 months that have died from COVID-19. And so she put a whole new perspective on it for me. Yeah,
it's a crazy time in the world. And I guess, what you experienced back then with 9/11, how's that sort of changed your view now with COVID? Because COVID's basically shut the world down, you know. And what's your perspective on that for yourself? And then when you go speak at schools, or if you're doing Zoom, courses, whatever you do, how's that change your perspective looking at COVID now with what you went through?
Well, it's kind of eerily similar, but we only went through a short period of time after 9/11 where everything was shut down. And I mean, not flying. You didn't see too many cars on the road. You didn't see anything like that. You didn't see Chicago was desolate. There was not a lot of people on the streets, but that was for a short period of time. Now we have this pandemic, and they're saying now that this could go on for quite a few years, that, our lifestyles have changed significantly because of COVID, and it may not go back to normal, but we went back to normal after 9/11. We did get back to a certain level of normalcy.
Yeah, well, I think you pretty much answered that, because that's about all you can say, because we don't know.
We don't know we don't know what's going to happen going forward.
No idea. No idea. Yeah, Doug, over to you, mate.
I only have one last question, which is, Don, when COVID caused the world to shut down, next to the uncertainty that you felt, did you also feel a little bit of relief in the sense that it might stop or disable Al Qaeda and anything similar to it?
It's hard to think about that, from, knowing what we go through here in the United States and how many cases of COVID we have here in the United States, but you really don't hear about it from, Al Qaeda from the Middle East. Right now, we have a serious situation in Afghanistan, where, that country is pretty much under a very, questionable rule, with no authority at all. And the only authority is, it's our way or no way. And that's what worries me now about the situation in Afghanistan, is I don't want to see a repeat of 9/11. I do not want to see another September 11th. And it kind of worries me that we've kind of left ourselves open with Afghanistan. And I don't know if this is true or if there's the ability to do it, but I hope we have somebody or some special forces group on the ground there in Afghanistan and keeping an eye on what is going on, because I would hate to see them plan and be able to execute something on American soil again.
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting, all that. And obviously that's not what this interview is about, but again, it's part of what's going on in the world, like we go through one thing and everything's great, and then something else comes up like COVID, and there is a lot of controversy over, pulling out of Afghanistan and leaving all the military equipment there.
That's true.
And a lot of the the guys and women and men who've served over there, a lot of them, I'd say most of them are pretty pissed off, to be, blatant about the way.
Yeah, they're pretty pissed off.
And sadly, sorry, go on, Don.
Oh, I'm sorry, Andy. We lost, from our hometown here. We have a very small hometown. We lost one kid, back in 2012 in Afghanistan. So he is, it hits home. It does hit even the smallest towns. That war lasted 20 years. So
wow. And sadly now, just on bit of a last note is that now that there's a colonel now that's been arrested because he spoke out about, which I know he's obviously not meant to do, but he did speak out against, what happened in Afghanistan and the political parties, and now he's been arrested, and there's a possibility he may go to jail over it, which, I know when you break rules, but he's been, as far as I know, he's been arrested and for speaking out, and he could possibly go to jail.
Oh, that's unbelievable. Wow.
I know.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, look, Don, and thanks really for sharing that story. I can understand clearly why when you speak in front of people that it's very inspiring.
Yeah.
Because it is truly inspiring, and to see, where you are now, and, other survivors supporting each other, to get through another thing on the planet that's happening. So human beings are fighters. We are survivors. And at the moment, it is a lot of confusion and anxiety around the world. But as human beings, we don't give up, and we do keep going forward. So, hopefully this will just be a part of history in another few years or so about COVID as well,
Well, that's hopefully that we could say that in a couple of years. I know that, hopefully it's, eradicated or pushed to the corners of the earth where we won't hear about it too much anymore.
But sweep it under the carpet.
if all possible. Yeah. But no, I really appreciate you guys having me on, Andy and Doug. I really appreciate you guys having me on. I know there's a 2-hour time difference between us, but
yes.
I'm
thanks. I really appreciate it.
Allowed me to share my story and hopefully inspire a younger generation out there that's coming up.
Yeah, I'm sure it will do that. There's no doubt. Doug will put up all the, the books, the links to the books and all that, so that people can go and, purchase that if they wish. So, well, thanks, Don. I really appreciate it, mate. And
I appreciate it, Andy. Enjoy your tea. And Doug,
thank you.
and congratulations on that 100-pound weight loss. That's awesome.
I appreciate it, guys, and I want to thank you, Don, for appearing on our show. Your story will unquestionably impact future generations of people. So, everyone, the link to the book is right here. Thank you, Andy, for being such a great drill instructor.
That's not what he says when we're coaching during the week. He goes, "Oh, what have I done now?"
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
All right, and we'll see you next time for the next episode of Relentless and Unstoppable.